say this. The most exciting fighter that's acting and fighting in boxing right now is Gervonta Tank Davis.
Floyd outdoing him. He always been like that. You know what I mean? So I gotta focus on what I'm focusing on. He already did what he had to do, bro.
I'm telling you, this version of Tank is gonna be dangerous, bro. If you know about boxing, come on, it is Gervonta Davis, bro.
Floyd Mayweather didn't mince words when asked about the highly anticipated rematch between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Tank Davis. The boxing icon firmly stated his belief that Lamont Roach simply doesn't have what it takes to topple Davis in a second showdown. In Floyd's view, Davis is too complete. His speed, raw power, and high-level ring IQ form a deadly trio that Roach's current style just isn't equipped to handle. Mayweather stressed that unless Roach makes a dramatic and perhaps unrealistic shift in both his tactics and mindset, the outcome is inevitable. In Floyd's eyes, the advantage leans heavily toward Davis retaining his dominance and re-establishing himself as the superior fighter.
Loss versus Gervonta Davis may get overturned. It's not going to happen. Apparently they said that PBC, the production went out so they couldn't do a replay, and they have replay in New York, and that's why they're not going to overturn this. Boxing never goes back to overturn anything. They don't investigate any corruption as long as they're money good. You know, they didn't go back and overturn Ryan Garcia cheated. They didn't overturn that to a loss. They did a no contest. It should have been a loss. He had a competitive advantage. When Margarito cheated Miguel Cotto, they didn't go back and open up an investigation. Manny Pacquiao wanted them to investigate and rescore the Jeff Horn fight. People forget that. People screaming corruption there, so they're not going to overturn this. Lamont Roach don't have a major promoter behind him. People will get paid off, and this will go away, and they're going to uphold the win, even though they blatantly broke the rules on 2 separate occasions. The knee should have been counted and wiped in the face. So boxing has always been corrupt. It's always been controlled by money. It's one of the inorganic, if that's a word, sports of all time.
This is a secret Lamont Roach knows. Tank can go get you if you're running away, because Tank is very good at knowing the distance where he has most leverage on his punches. If you think about Mike Tyson is strange to say, but he wasn't great with his power when he was very close on the inside. Mike Tyson was a mid-range puncher. That's why Mike Tyson could go in from a distance and step in and knock you out. But when y'all close, Mike Tyson didn't really have all his power in there. Neither does Tank. So if you're backing up, Tank can go get you. Other than that, Tank has to counter you. That's how Tank knocked out Rody. That's how Tank knocked out Ryan Garcia. That's how Tank hurt Mario Barrios and started that shit, that snowball. That's how Tank knocked out Leo Santa Cruz. That's why Tank talks so much. He needs you.
From the earliest stages of his pro career, Gervonta Davis found himself navigating a complex and sometimes suffocating relationship with Floyd Mayweather. What initially looked like a dream mentorship soon turned into something more controlling. Insiders began noticing that Floyd wasn't just guiding Davis, he was orchestrating his image, carefully managing career moves, and shaping Davis's public persona to mirror his own legacy. The result? Davis's personal identity and autonomy were often sidelined in favor of keeping Mayweather's influence front and center. Instead of nurturing Tank's rise as a unique force in boxing, the mentorship seemed increasingly about preserving Floyd's own spotlight.
Adrian had the weigh-in. So from his weigh-in, they meet us at the food spot. So from there, we go to the gym. So remind you, they already got this set up. Floyd already got it set up. He already posted on Instagram. It probably was like 100 people in there, and he turned the heat up. That's what Floyd do. He turned the heat up in the gym while you in there. So he turned the heat up. Boom. We spar, but while we sparring, Floyd is in the ring. Like every time I'm punching, Floyd like grab my hand, like yank it back, whereas though I can't even punch Devin. So it was times that like I catch Devin, boom, or I'm about to swing and Floyd like yank my hand back, or he'll push me to the ropes. Like he was actually like touching me while we were sparring. Like
why?
Like, he was, cause it was like Devin was his guy, cause Devin was training at his gym at the time. So, and he was training with his father. So, Devin was on. I mean, Floyd was on Devin's side.
Sounds
so
like
that's
a conspiracy to me.
Yeah, but later down the line, probably about like a couple months. No, this was recently. Not recently, but probably like 2 years ago. I asked Devin to like come to like spar me, He was like, no, I ain't no sparring partner. I had somebody hit him up that was close to him.
Davis has been candid about the psychological toll that came with training under Floyd, especially during private sparring sessions meant for his development. One moment that stuck with him was a session with Devin Haney, where Davis had clearly begun to take control and show his superiority. Just as the tide turned in Davis's favor, Mayweather abruptly stepped in to halt the action. To onlookers, it felt like an intentional interruption, one that protected Haney and robbed Davis of a learning opportunity. These weren't isolated incidents, either. The pattern repeated itself often enough that Davis began to feel stifled and sidelined, overshadowed by the man who was supposed to be sharpening his edge, not dulling it.
Floyd outdoing him. He always been like that. You know what I mean? So I gotta focus on what I'm focused on. He already did what he had to do, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Me, if I did what I like what he did in the sport, I ain't gonna lie, I'd be the same way. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't fault him for like stand to himself and things like that. You know what I mean? But it's also a part of me type thing, like come back and help too. You know what I mean? So there's much love to the whole Mayweather promotion. You know what I mean? Ain't no bad blood type shit. And a lot of people think like when I be tweeting on Instagram, I be mad. I just be talking.
Davis once viewed Floyd Mayweather as the ideal mentor, someone who could guide him to greatness. But over time, that view shifted. What Davis initially saw as mentorship began to look more like micromanagement. Floyd's reputation as a master strategist in business and boxing meant he was always pulling the strings, from picking opponents to controlling media narratives. The tighter Floyd's grip became, the more Davis began to feel boxed in, unable to make independent choices that served his own career vision. As Tank matured, so did his desire for self-governance. What followed was a growing rift, marked by frustration and mistrust, and a slow unraveling of what was once a close partnership.
First of all, Floyd don't never want to see no one like a fighter do better than them. How the say Terrence Crawford should fight Benavidez? That don't make no fucking sense. He don't never want to see nobody be better than him. I'm telling you.
You was next in line. This was your next in line.
Is there like
last question, guys.
is there like a love-hate or like
Yeah,
the fighter?
yeah, I love the fighter. Like, I ain't gonna lie, if he was like chill, like he'll be the smoothest. But he's not. You know what I mean? He's a great fighter. And my bad. And
you're good, man.
And he, cause I don't want to say like he's just a scumbag, but it's like he's a great fighter, and sometimes he can be good, but it's like it's always I'm this.
Floyd Mayweather has long been vocal about his doubts regarding Davis's true punching power. But recent footage may have changed his tune. Videos from Davis's latest training camp show a fighter who looks sharper, meaner, and more explosive than ever before. His pad work is ferocious. His combinations snap with purpose. His footwork is tighter. Floyd himself was reportedly caught off guard by what he saw. Whether he admits it or not, the footage forced Mayweather to acknowledge that Davis is evolving and fast. For perhaps the first time in a long while, Floyd had to accept that Tank might not need his approval to be great.
When is Gervonta Davis going to go somewhere in the powerful power? Knew he deserved to be in the powerful power? Absolutely. Do Terrence Crawford deserve to be in the powerful power? Absolutely. But what about Gervonta Davis? I mean, he deserved to be somewhere also in the powerful power.
Why don't they give him that credit?
Because he was affiliated with me.
Critics of Davis's underwhelming performance in his last bout against Lamont Roach have been quick to praise Roach's execution. But many in Davis's camp point to something deeper: personal struggles. Davis has been open about the mental and physical battles he faced heading into that fight. He spoke about burnout, about needing therapy, even about taking time away from boxing altogether. Despite these challenges, Davis stepped into the ring, knowing he wasn't at 100%. Now, as the rematch approaches, he has a shot at redemption, a chance to fight not just Roach, but the narrative that he's slipping. If Davis shows up mentally focused and physically dialed in, fans could witness a dominant version of Tank they haven't seen in years.
He wants to do therapy. He wants to do real estate. They want to say he wasn't all in because him and Roach are friends, and he's going to be focused for the second fight. A lot of excuses. They want to say it's because of the braids, the oil getting in his eye. Whatever. This is what really happened. And I just now came to this conclusion because I've been making some other videos for Patreon. But Lamont Roach posted a video recently.
The first Roach-Davis fight revealed more than just an upset. It exposed holes in Davis's defense, his conditioning, and his composure. Roach exploited those flaws with precision, casting doubt on whether Davis was still the same fearsome force fans once knew. The upcoming rematch isn't just another fight, it's a career crossroads. Davis is no longer just fighting Roach. He's battling whispers about a decline in power, stamina, and hunger. This bout is his chance to prove that the last performance was an off night, not a new norm. And while Davis is preparing for war inside the ring, his split from Mayweather Promotions still looms large outside it. The breakup wasn't quiet or clean. It played out in public, complete with passive-aggressive jabs, conflicting narratives, and ugly disagreements over control. The message was clear: Davis was done being managed like a puppet. He wanted freedom. And now, with that independence comes the ultimate pressure. To win, to dominate, and to show that he's better off without Floyd.
When Floyd left Bob Arum, it's good for them to do it and become their own boss. And then if another guy does it, it's not good for the sport. He's disloyal. And what's wrong with Tank saying he want to be his own boss? And honestly, I've been there. The relationship between them two is very toxic. It's a toxic relationship. It's up and down and up and down. And I'm not going to elaborate to everything that I know, but it's a very toxic relationship. And that's why when I tweet stuff, I don't tweet often, but when I tweet, I may fire off 50 tweets in the day. And that's why when I tweeted certain things about the relationship, Tank retweeted it because he knows. Like, I'm not just gonna say what it is. It's a very toxic relationship. It's back and forth, and I think it will serve him best to go and be.
While many have praised Lamont Roach's performance in the first bout, a growing number of boxing analysts are pushing back against what they see as inflated hype. One crucial detail often glossed over is the moment Tank Davis's knee touched the canvas, it wasn't due to a clean power punch from Roach, but rather because Davis suffered temporary impaired vision from grease entering his eyes. That subtle yet significant detail reframes the narrative entirely. Rather than being dropped by force, Davis was momentarily blinded, making his reaction a safety instinct rather than a signal of being overpowered. This nuance has led some to question just how decisive Roach's victory really was. Now, with the rematch approaching, Davis is sounding the alarm. He's been promising to return not just stronger, but more dangerous, more focused, and more relentless than ever before. Fans and opponents alike are being warned this version of Tank is not to be underestimated.
People keep saying like Lamont dang near like beat Tank like clean, like basically like we seen it, like yeah, he did Tank that one, but like Tank was limping out the ring. Bro, he didn't even get over on Tank for real. Y'all only saying that because Tank took the knee. And when Tank took the knee, it wasn't how like Ryan Garcia was when he took the knee when Tank went to his body. It was like, dang, like I'm taking him to get right back up. Can you do that in boxing? No. But y'all can't say that basically that, oh yeah, he won because of the knee. That shows that people just want to see Tank lose, bruh. Cause y'all betting y'all money on basically Tank losing because of that knee. Yes, it was a good fight. Yes, I'm not gonna lie. Lamont was defending himself like he's skilled. But bro, he ain't walked all over Tank. Tank, bro, if y'all go back and watch the highlights, I just watched the highlights last night. Them last couple of rounds, bro, Lamont was balled up. Tank was literally, he was trying, like you could tell Tank was like, dang, I waited too long. So he was trying to throw some stuff like to make sure he get that one blow, but it didn't work. So that's why they doing that rematch so they could start over from scratch round 1 to round 12. We gonna start over clean and let's see what's going on now. Now y'all want to be saying, oh no man, I ain't gonna lie. At the end of the day, the first fight is what matters. No, it don't. Tank, look, he willing enough to say, hey bro, let's do a rematch. Now if he ain't do a rematch, he's like, oh yeah, something going on. Nah, hush, hush. Hey Calvin, step to the side. Let me get somebody else right now. I'm gonna be hush. Let me get back in the gym and put my hat on.
In an unexpected twist, even some of Davis's usual critics are rallying behind him in the lead-up to the rematch. Analysts who've been historically skeptical of Tank's discipline now argue that he's never looked more locked in. Why the sudden shift in sentiment? It's all about what's at stake. This fight isn't just about revenge, it's about legacy. Unlike past distractions, Davis has no other looming opponents or side ventures clouding his focus. His eyes are fixed solely on Lamont Roach, and insiders say that singular intensity is what makes this fight different. The motivation to set the record straight has turned Tank into a calculated machine in training camp. Meanwhile, fallout from the first bout continues to stir controversy. Accusations still linger around referee Steve Willis, whose handling of the match was viewed by some as favoring Davis despite the decision leaning the other way in public opinion. Roach's camp has made it clear. They don't want Willis anywhere near the rematch. They've demanded an impartial referee, insisting that if the rematch is to be decisive, it must be judged purely on skill and performance, not clouded by officiating bias.
Obviously, the part with the grease in the eye, that took on a life of its own, you know what I'm saying? That was a headline in the fight. One is, what did you think when he said that initially, just like the grease in the eye? But two is like, when you was in the fight, was there any point that you saw that? Like, did you see like him kind of messing with his eye, or did you have any indication that that was something that was bothering him?
No, see, and that's the thing. If you look at the whole fight, he was never bothering his eyes before
you jabbed him.
Before I jabbed him. Even that right hand that, like, you know what I'm saying, that kind of landed, he kind of rolled with it, but after that, you could see him wipe his eye. And then, right after I hit him with the jab, you could see him wipe his other eye. So it's like, it was corresponding to which hand that I punched him with and exactly which eye. So it's like crazy for him to say, it's grease in my eye. And I think even when he say that, you could see me, because I'm right beside him, you could see me like, nigga, what you talking about? So,
but you said you don't think he willing though.
Whatever. See, but who cares? Like, sweat gonna get in your eye, blood gonna get in your eye, spit fucking around and get in your eye. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like you can be like, all right, time out, ref. Hold on, ref. Can't do that.
Right. Would you be cool with Steve Willis doing the next fight?
Hell no.
He can't do the next fight.
No, he can't do the next fight.
Right. No. Pops is a no?
Hell no.
Fuck that.
Yeah. You know how many Coach Ben on him, man. He lucky he ain't running Coach Ben after that fight.
But look how many times he fucked the fight up though. Me, him going to the corner to get assistance, like, who knows? Not saying that they did any cheating shit or nothing like that. But like, he wiped his face with a towel. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't do none of that. Right. That's a disqualification. You turned your back on the ref after you took a knee. Usually the ref will be like, all right, he don't want to fight no more. Fight's off.
Veteran boxer Gary Russell Jr. has stepped into the conversation, offering a more measured view on the outcome of the first fight. While public narratives painted Roach as the clear winner, Russell isn't convinced. In his opinion, Roach performed well, but he didn't dominate. For Russell, defeating a champion of Gervonta Davis's caliber requires more than just competing evenly. It demands clear, round-by-round superiority that leaves no room for doubt. According to him, Roach failed to seize full control of the fight in a way that justifies taking the crown. Russell's take adds another layer to the already heated debate. Was Roach's performance good enough to warrant the win, or was it merely good enough to keep the conversation alive?
It's 100% correct. Personally, I had Gervonta Davis up a round. Because whenever you have rounds where nobody's doing anything, I'm not just going to do what most people do, and especially people that don't like Gervonta Davis, which is just give the round to the other guy because Gervonta Davis didn't manage to knock him out that round. Okay, so this is Gary Russell Jr. clearly saying, man, no, I don't think Lamont Roach won that fight. You also had Al Bernstein, and Al Bernstein, I'm telling you, is a very, very straight, fair guy who I don't know if he was on that call, but he used to work with Showtime. I don't know if he was on there. I don't recall if I heard him. I think it was Rolly Ronaldo that was calling it. But Al Bernstein, who was a very, very objective person, said, hey, look, no. Sorry to break it to you, but Gervonta Davis won that fight. Yeah, Lamont Roach put up a really good fight, but Lamont Roach was not dynamic. He did not do anything to really separate himself from Gervonta Davis. He just kept it equal. He just tried to keep it even the entire fight.
Jeff Mayweather's post-fight analysis of Davis's performance was candid and surprisingly critical. As someone who's watched Tank grow over the years, Jeff didn't expect the uncharacteristically slow pace and lapses in sharpness that defined Davis's showing against Roach. He noted that Roach managed to control the tempo, consistently land cleaner shots, and maintain a rhythm that forced Davis to react rather than dictate. This was a version of Tank that looked reactive, not proactive, a sharp contrast to the explosive, forward-pressing fighter fans are used to seeing. Jeff's observation that Roach's activity level and calculated movement may have been enough to steal the victory adds fuel to the narrative that Davis simply wasn't himself that night. It also raises the stakes heading into the rematch. If Davis wants to silence doubts and reclaim his throne, he'll need to reassert the dominance that once made him one of the most feared fighters in the sport.
That's the worst decision I think I might have ever seen. I don't know how that's not a knockdown. But anyway, thoughts on the overall fight first, Jeff?
I think that it was a good fight on both sides, and I do think that Roach actually won the fight. I thought he outworked Tank. Thought that he threw more punches than Tank. It seemed like Tank was fighting like he always do. It just seemed like he was just waiting for him to figure out whoever was in front of him like he always do, and then go to work. But this time when he went to work, the guy went to work back. So, I mean, he had somebody that was firing back at him the same way.
I think the commentators and most of us at home thought, kind of the same thing. You thought Roach would bank some of those early rounds to prepare for the onslaught later. And when it didn't really happen, it was pretty even. We said, well, this is going to be a one-sided fight. But yeah, it never happened. And Roach, through the latter half of the fight, actually seemed to do better than the first half.
I thought he did good pretty much all the way through the fight. I mean, there was a few rounds where he didn't do that well, but I mean, I thought he won the fight clearly. I mean, I didn't see Gervonta really the Gervonta that I know. I mean, I'm a big Gervonta fan, but I didn't see none of the Gervonta that I'm used to seeing.
Boxing analyst S. Waka didn't hesitate to challenge the official storylines coming out of the first fight. In his view, Lamont Roach's win wasn't narrow, it was comprehensive. Waka pointed to Roach's calm execution, his ability to exploit Davis's defensive flaws, and his consistent pressure over multiple rounds. He argued that while the judges may have scored it closer, seasoned eyes could see what really happened in that ring. To Waka, Roach's technical superiority, ring control, and ability to capitalize on Davis's visible fatigue painted a much clearer picture than the scorecards did. His take is that sometimes the judges miss what the fight community sees, a tactical masterclass that exposed the vulnerabilities of a fighter many once thought unbeatable. It's this framing that makes the rematch not just a do-over, but a referendum on who really belongs at the top.
They should have counted that point against him. Do you think Lamont Roach won, or do you think it wasn't enough?
It could be considered a rightful draw, but I also lean toward that Lamont Roach won that fight. I believe he won the fight simply because he outclassed the champ. In boxing, you have to do two things to beat the champ. You either got to knock out the champ or completely outclass the champ. But you have to beat the champ. You're not going to just get the win because you survived or you put up a good fight. Bro lost that fight.
Facts.
Like, when you really, really know boxing and know boxing for what it really, really is, Tank lost that fight. No matter how much people, emotions and feelings are attached to it, because Tank is a hero of the hood. The ghetto loved the Tank. Gervonta Davis has been crowned king. My personal opinion, I don't think he should take the rematch, and I think he's already done what you just said. I think off of what he's already accomplished with the draw, he's already in a life-changing situation to where he could change every person around his life forever. He's now what's called a prize fighter, guaranteed. He's now what's also called a A-side fighter right now. But if he does what I like to call the Deontay Wilder and chase the legacy of getting the win, because you thinking from more of 100% on the boxing aspect than the business aspect, which Gervonta Davis has clearly showed everybody, the larger amount of his success is from the business module of the way he does boxing that was being gifted to him through Mayweather and Mayweather Promotions and PBC. But at the end of the day, so what? That's what he's supposed to do. I'm not mad at Gervonta Davis for.
As the rematch approaches, all eyes are on Davis's preparation. The question on everyone's mind, is Tank truly ready to turn the page and write a new chapter in his career? The whispers from his camp suggest that training has been brutal and focused. There are no distractions this time, no press tour noise, no internal drama, no outside noise. Just pure work. Those closest to him describe a fighter who was determined to reclaim more than just a belt, he's out to reclaim respect. Davis's entire future may hinge on what happens in this rematch, and the boxing world is watching to see whether this time, the fighter who shows up is the real Gervonta Tank Davis.